I want to turn now to a different subject because I think it's a lot of people watching know how remarkable it is that you have the energy and to do what you're doing, given the fact that you're dealing with a family tragedy. You lost your son, 25-year-old Tommy, to depression. You wrote a very moving reflection on his, quote, perfect heart, a perfect soul, a riotously outrageous and relentless sense of humor, and a dazzling radiant mind.
My wife Sarah and I wrote this together.
Tell us more about Tommy.
Tommy was a remarkable person. He had overwhelming love for humanity and for our country in his heart, and really for all the people of the world. We lost him on the very last day of that god-awful year, 2020, and he left us a note which said, "Please forgive me, my illness won today. Look after each other, the animals, and the global poor for me. All my love, Tommy." And that was the last act in a life that dazzled anybody who came into contact with Tommy. He was a slam poet who wrote these magnificent 20, 30-minute poems, which he, of course, knew by heart, and he would get up and perform them. He was absolutely devoted to human rights for every person. He was devoted to animal rights and welfare. He was a passionate vegan and convinced a lot of people to stop eating animals just through the force of his poetry. He was a second-year student at Harvard Law School.
He was a beautiful kid.
When we lost him, he had not only beloved friends at Harvard Law School, but he was teaching a course with Michael Sandel, Justice, as a teaching fellow at the college. And so he had students of his own, and he graded all of his papers and exams and wrote many pages analyzing the work of the students and writing back to them. And he made donations in each of their names to different charitable groups that he thought would be consistent with the values of the student. And so some of them went to Give Directly or to Oxfam or so on. And I asked him why he did that, and he quoted something that Father Berrigan had said about the great Dorothy Day. He said, well, like Father Berrigan said about Dorothy Day, she lived as though the truth were true. And he said, I want to show them that the truth is true and we can live that way. So, people are asking me why I decided to do this. First of all, I don't know if you've ever tried to say no to Speaker Pelosi about anything, but she's actually been very sensitive and thoughtful. But she wanted me to do it because she knows that I've devoted my life to the Constitution and to the Republic. I'm a professor of constitutional law. But I did it really with my son in my heart and helping lead the way. I feel him in my chest. When we went to count the Electoral College votes and it came under that ludicrous attack, I felt my son with me, and I was most concerned with our youngest daughter and my son-in-law, who's married to our other daughter, who were with me that day, who got caught in a room off of the House floor, and between them and me was a rampaging armed mob that could have killed them easily and was banging on the doors where they were hiding under a desk with my Chief of Staff, Julie Tagan. These events are personal to me, Jake. There was an attack on our country. There's an attack on our people. There are thousands of people who work on Capitol Hill, not just members, but staff members and Capitol Hill police officers who were pushed and shoved and punched in the face, pummeled and hit over the head with fire extinguishers. And the President of the United States did nothing to stop it for more than 2 hours as members of Congress were calling him and begging him to do something. And he continued to watch it on TV and to enjoy their, insurrection tailgate party where they were celebrating the attack on our democracy. This president has been impeached already twice, and we just want the Senate to conduct a serious trial where every member of the Senate lives up to his or her constitutional oath to render impartial judgment as a juror.
Congressman, I can't even begin to express my condolences for what you and your wife and your daughters and family are dealing with. I can't also imagine having that trauma compounded with this other trauma. You just lost your son, and now you're in Congress worrying about your daughter and your other daughter's husband because of these terrorists who had attacked the Congress. That trauma on top of trauma just seems so debilitating.
Well, I'm not going to lose my son at the end of 2020 and lose my country and my republic in 2021. It's not going to happen.
I'm not going to lose my son at the end of 2020 and lose my country and my republic in 2021. That's not going to happen. The fact that Jamie Raskin had to spend the time he should be grieving the loss of his son on yet another impeachment for a lawless president is as sad a testament to the state of our democracy under Trump as you could get. Now, some people might say, well, Representative Raskin didn't have to lead the impeachment effort, but to that I'd say, that's literally his job. He swore an oath to do exactly that. And as a former constitutional law professor, no one is better equipped to lead this effort than him. And the fact is that if Trump hadn't broken his oath, Jamie Raskin wouldn't have been thrust into a position where he needed to abide by his own. And yet, because the President of the United States pays about as much attention to his oath of office as he does to any of his children not named Ivanka, suddenly people like Jamie Raskin have no choice but to step up. And beyond Jamie Raskin fulfilling his oath, if this isn't a testament to the strength of his character, nothing is. He turned an experience so terrible, so personal, so unjust into action on behalf of his country. That's a leader. Instead of taking this time for himself when not a person on the face of this earth would blame him, he showed up on the floor of Congress to defend the country, the Constitution, and our democracy. And after 4 years of Donald Trump, who wouldn't lift a finger unless he stood to gain from it, it's almost foreign to see someone like Jamie Raskin, whose actions these last few weeks have been the embodiment of selflessness. I should note too that Jamie Raskin isn't the only one whose grieving was undercut by Donald Trump. All across the country, the families and friends of the more than 400,000 Americans who were lost to coronavirus have had to watch as Trump not only refused to offer a single word of condolence, but continue to perpetuate the exact disinformation campaigns that led to so many deaths in the first place. They watched as he continued to politicize masks and hold rallies and encourage schools and businesses and restaurants to fully reopen and push bogus miracle cures and pretend that it was no big deal. All of the steps that led to these deaths in the first place. And so not only was he not remorseful, but he was actively ensuring that more people suffered the same fate as those who already lost their lives. Because Donald Trump isn't concerned with anyone other than himself. So at a time when so many people in this country are hurting, it's not the Donald Trumps who are going to help, it's the Jamie Raskins. It's the people who ran for office not to help themselves, but to help others. And on a personal note, I've met Jamie Raskin. I've interviewed him twice so far, and he is as kind, smart, and compassionate a person as you'll ever meet. He's there not only to defend this country's institutions, but to make life better for as many people as possible. And we are a better country because Jamie Raskin is a part of it. While you're here, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I take a deep dive into the top stories of the week, and I also interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Pete Buttigieg, Katie Porter, Al Franken, Cory Booker, Jamie Harrison, Mary Trump, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.